two. Okay, that worked. What's going on, everyone? My name is William Wesley Wofford, aka Will West of Will West Studios, with my buddy on my left. This is my left. Or is it on the screen? It would be my right, wouldn't it? You
Yeah,
know what? It doesn't matter. And then Manuel Eunice. How you doing, Manny?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. And then I have help. Jacob.
Jacob.
Let me tell you something about Jacob. He is awesome. Okay. I thought this guy, he ages so well. Because let me tell you something. I thought this man was 23. Nah. At that plus 10. Like he had me fooled. I was like, no way. I'm like, go ahead, age well, brother. Go ahead. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. And of course, Manny, why don't you go ahead and say those beautiful words for me?
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yes!
Every other vote.
And you gotta admit, the dude that was coming down the aisle, he was kind of cute. I'd have carried him on my shoulder.
Here we are. Welcome once again to Trekkers Delight.
Like, literally, my mic falls down just as we go live. Hi, everybody.
Who you gonna be?
The captain of the Enterprise Z.
Love that baseball and the teacup. Like, clearly, TNG DS9 fans.
Man, that we see Power Rangers at some point in this season.
What is going on?
Power has shit to do with the Power Rangers.
No, everybody, this is actually one of the main screenwriters for Prodigy, so we are super excited to hear from you. And
No one
also,
listen.
I'm a little embarrassed for being this critical.
Man, I really love that intro.
This was a nice touch.
It's awesome.
Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Jacob, buddy, the guy whose wedding I did last year. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. Because let me tell you something, Manny. He said to me, William, I want to get into Star Trek. I want to become a Trekkie. And I was like, you have no idea what you just asked me. You have no effing clue what you just asked me. Like, and I feel like a fat kid in a candy store. Cause I was just like, yo, like I'm gonna make this curriculum. It's gonna be great. He told me he wanted to start in TNG, so I went that route. And then I'm like, okay, we know that they time travel to the past a number of times, but let's get them as far as at least we're going to try and get to first contact. But you've also done your research as far as like the history of the Federation goes. Like, tell me from your perspective, growing into it, what have you learned so far and why did you want to like get into it, man?
I wanted to get into it mostly because my brother's a big fan, and funny enough, I hate to give him any credit, but my brother has really good taste. So I was very intrigued to get into it. I think I just was missing because there's so much content. I was missing the best practice in catching up. But when you and I became friends, it became very clear, very fast that you were pretty knowledgeable in the subject, and I was like, well, here's my shot. So yeah, I've taken your advice and tried to watch as much as I can this week to prepare for this, but I will definitely be going back and doing a more thorough deep dive as I go.
Gotcha. And like, what have you like accumulated so far as like information goes? And I understand that you're still under like deep dive reconnaissance now, but like, what do you feel like you've like in your own words? What do you feel like you've gathered so far?
Well, I'll say that what really piqued my interest was kind of the mission statement of the Federation. It really read to me as something that lined up with my own like leftist worldview, I guess. And so that was what kind of really got me super interested into it. And as I've been going, I think as I started watching TNG, I was a little lost, like what's the background of the Federation? What's going on behind the scenes here. So as I did a little research the last couple of days, I've gotten so much more invested, just seeing how closely aligned with like our reality that the show does. It's like seems like almost a very hyper realistic future, for humanity. So I think that's really pulled me in.
Cool. And like as far as like what you want to do that you're going to school for professionally, so that way we can the audience can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm a junior at the University of Arkansas. I'm majoring in human resources management. So I'm trying to be a human resource guy. I felt like it was the most ethical thing I could do in the business world. So there's that.
Manny, I have a question for you. Do you think throughout all of Trek lore, do we have anyone that may resemble that of like a HR person?
That's a
Hopefully
good
not.
question. Counselors, we have counselors,
Yeah,
of
I was
course.
thinking Deanna Troy, like because the first officer Riker was just over the departments, but and he does the discipline himself if necessary, if it's like severe, and
Mhm,
heaven forbid that it reaches Picard. But
mhm.
but it sounds like maybe Deanna Troy, possibly.
So what I would say is that
Mhm.
when TNG was made and they brought the counselor position on and they conceived of the ship and stuff, I don't think they conceived of the mental health of 1,000 people.
Mm.
Having one counselor on board, and now that we have evolved from 1988, 87,
Hmm. Hmm.
87, 1987. Um, it's it's obvious now that mental health belongs in the health medical category, and it probably would have been under medical officer. So the core of like mental health and stuff like that should have been under the medical discipline. In terms of human resources, these are military ships, not civilian ships. So
Hmm.
they have a different structure of human resources. So being from the military as well, those would be log and comm and service battalion. So people who are in charge of logistics, they also coordinate those efforts. That's the closest thing in a military structure to human resources.
Mm. And let me ask you, you've
But
actually spoken with astronauts or in this in the
yes,
yes, I brought that up to Jacob like three times.
oh,
Like, and as far as like speaking to them goes, or like mental health goes, could you give us a little bit as to your conversation with them? Because now we're kind of bringing reality into this a little bit in your own words,
you're
if you feel like it's
funny. You're
appropriate.
so funny.
I know,
Of
because
course it is.
we're here. Like, I'm just saying, this dude actually talked to astronauts. Like the most I've done, the closest I've ever been to an astronaut was giving an Uber ride to one, and I didn't know he was one.
Cool.
I think it
That's a
was
cool.
Buzz Aldrin. Like
Really,
it was some guy, and he knew Neil.
that's the
He
guy.
he and
Good guy.
he even knew Gene Roddenberry.
Of
Like,
course.
and I'm sitting there going like, duh. Of course, Gene
Yeah,
would
yeah,
make some time to go visit them while they were kids in college.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
All those space
So
dudes, like the guy who did Cosmos too, also super famous. I forget his name right now,
yes.
but
Hmm.
they all knew each other because that dude specifically consulted on every single space mission during his lifetime. He was.
Hmm.
They also, I mean, they talked to Gene Roddenberry. He was you know, a writer, but that other
Hmm.
Carl Sagan, he actually was, and that's where you get the Bill Nyes and the Neil deGrasse Tysons and all that stuff. It comes out of a real physics. TNG, all the writing staff were physicists and philosophers. All of
Hmm.
that actual baseline stuff that they were writing about in 1987 came out of real frameworks. That's why it
Hmm.
seems so real.
It
Hmm.
shows.
There is plasma, there is fusion. We're on the verge. I was actually going to share with you a bunch of new cool technology. One I think
Yes.
is out of Australia, one's out of France. They have a new fusion drive in France. It's wild. So let's put that aside. Your question about astronauts. So we had a meeting today as part of
Oh.
this, yeah, new company. It's so weird and fascinating. So I did have a chance a couple of months ago. I think I talked to you about it, where we got live. I took a bunch of screenshots and dropped
You
them in the
did.
Discord.
I had just gotten off the phone with you right before you got on. Yeah.
And I'm involved with this company that's involved with Blue Origin,
SpaceX.
not SpaceX,
Not
specifically not
SpaceX.
SpaceX,
Okay.
NASA, Mohammed bin Rashid
Oh.
Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency. I'm missing the big one. That's like a big company. I forget it.
NASA?
It was based out of Houston, Texas, and they streamed live from that company.
Okay.
It's like Boeing or one of those big ones. I can't remember what it was. So they did a thing where they rotated these astronauts who were presenting to all of us, and we got to ask them questions and get to know them. They were presenting. I'm telling you this, like obviously it's super public. The support that they're doing with all the rest of the other space agencies in the world. And here's the big announcement that came out of today. So during those last meetings that I talked to you about, we were coordinating the new lunar modules that are going up. So what they exactly look like, what they'll run on, all of that stuff. Today, we reached like 100 ambassadors. And so they are starting our version of Starfleet Academy on Earth. It's like
Actually happening.
Yeah, I'll
About
be
time.
one of the people coordinating from where I am in the world. And we're starting basically a world training school, an educational school for people to get them into space. All of the different aspects. They call it analog training, like on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And you go through missions to become mission ready. And you take an aspect and you work with both civilian and non-civilian entities. Yeah, I'm actually starting Starfleet Academy. I mean, esoterically, it's not me, but yeah, I'm one of.
Right.
It's wild. It's a
Awesome.
crazy big Yanni reveal. Sorry, Yanni. I'm just meaning
No. Here's the thing. I'm actually very glad that the three of us are having the discussion because the plot for today's episode is actually very simple. It's actually a little too simple. Like there's barely a B plot, like because they're all so interconnected. Like
Mhm.
so I was kind of wanting to have this trio of a conversation.
Oh,
Like, what are
okay.
we doing in our lives? How does it relate to actual Star Trek? Where do we go moving forward? How do you feel we have gotten as far in society? Now of course, now knowing what Jacob knows, because he knows enough to get a wisp of what the path that we're following. Now, heaven forbid that we go into a eugenics wars and then World War III, or one and the same. like,
Yeah.
like
Well, the
I'm
eugenics war already happened
originally,
in the 90s.
originally, yeah,
Get him
originally.
well. Get him well.
He's getting
Get
there.
him
He's
well.
getting there. He's getting there. He's getting there. He's getting there. No, here's the thing. I didn't even know it changed until Strange New Worlds.
Oh, really?
I didn't even know it changed.
So is this a canon change or?
This is a canon change.
Okay.
The timelines have changed. I don't
It's
know
newer.
when they changed. The lore has changed. I don't know when, but some time travel incident took place, and the course of history is still the same. April 5th, 2063 still happened, but everything before that, it's like they made the eugenics wars and World War III one and the same.
It's
Like,
Okay.
it's the temporal Cold War, and that
oh
That's
yes, the temporal Cold War from Enterprise. That's right.
that's so funny.
But
I literally
ahead.
had it written down here. It's one of my questions. Are there any canon issues I need to be aware of? So you're on top of it.
Jacob, I wanna ask you what your journey has been so far.
What my journey has been so far? Like
how have
what I've watched. So some select episodes of The Next Generation, a couple episodes of the original series, and Star Trek Generations.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the 6 episodes of the season of Strange New World. So I'm just trying.
Oh,
I tried to
wow.
cover a lot of bases in the last couple days.
Good for you.
Yeah, trying to like get a little piece of everything, build the world, and then actually watch it through.
I just want to know, so like it's informed in this
for reference.
discussion,
Yeah,
like,
Right.
I mean, you don't seem that you've only watched that much. It's good. You have a better concept of like the totality of it. It's just so much content, dude. There's
Yeah.
so much there, right?
But
And
which
we
is
all
great. It's kind of a
yeah.
double-edged sword. It's it's a lot of content to consume,
Yeah.
but it's also a lot of content to consume. That's if you're a
Yeah.
fan of it, then that's awesome.
Well, go ahead, bud.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, to piggyback off of your question to him, I might have overkilled his curriculum a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of guilty of it. And even though I'm not gonna lie to you, he did not have to watch Star Trek Generations. I threw that in there because that's my favorite movie. But I'm sorry. But the trajectory that I was thinking was because I knew that he wanted to get into the next generation. I knew that he wanted to get into that first. So I said, okay, let's introduce Q. Okay, let's just introduce Q. Let's just do that. Then let's get Q to introduce the Borg. Let's get the Borg to introduce Picard's trauma.
Yeah.
Let's get Picard's trauma to. We didn't have to watch Star Trek Generations, but Star Trek Generations technically is tied to the Q Who episode because Guinan is a vital part of it, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and we do see a prequel scene of the Elorian ships leaving their planet as their planet is being assimilated by the Borg. So
Isn't it
so
kind of
there's
important for that background to watch First Contact?
yes, and this is where First Contact comes in.
Yeah.
First Contact is the time travel episode where it is Borg related. It's probably the biggest Borg episode we got outside of Picard, season 2 and 3. But what happens is they travel back in time, and I'm not really spoiling that much, but they travel back in time to the year 2063, which takes place before the Federation, before Starfleet, before everything. So, and there is where you technically would get the chronological, I think is the word, start of the birth of I'm going to say the birth of Starfleet. Because I learned, like about 3 years ago, that Starfleet and the Federation are actually two different entities.
Yeah.
Like, Starfleet is a part of United Earth, and which they mentioned a couple of times in TOS. You have to catch it, otherwise you'd miss it. And the Federation is the joining of 12 planets, Manny?
I don't know how many. In the beginning, it was 5, and then one dropped out. It was 4. But that's
Right.
also not canon because
Vulcan and Doria.
when that happened, I think it's different than what it actually was in the TOS
Right.
or TNG. Like by the time we got to Enterprise and we saw Archer, sorry, Jacob.
Fine.
One species. So you had the not Corsicans or the Cordonites or something. I can't remember their names. Tellarites, Vulcan, Andorian,
Andorians.
Human, and Corellian. There's a
Probably.
Corsican. It's like a economic sector that they always visit, and they're in that scene where Archer's going around the table and talking about how lucky we are to know that aliens exist and the birth of the Federation, all this stuff. That one
Right.
scene, they're
Right.
there. Coruscant or something. I can't remember the name.
Right.
But so there were 5, I believe.
There were 5. And I think so. I guess I could have sworn there were 5 when I saw the final episode. I did not put These Other Voyages as part of his curriculum. I felt like that should be his own take, his own interpretation, his own thing. So we're going to let that be. But I did include the pilot episode of Enterprise because you do get to see Cochrane, in the pilot, which is directly tied to First Contact, and then jump from the pilot to the regeneration episode where we do see the Borg and Enterprise, and he talks about Cochrane again. Then we jump into Discovery. We introduce Captain Christopher Pike, and then Strange New Worlds.
The machete cut, like it's interesting the slices that you're recommending. But
yeah, because it was just like the goal was just to get him to Strange New Worlds. Like it's like there's no perfect way. There's no perfect way.
Yeah.
There's no perfect way.
I knew it would be tough to come on here and talk about an ongoing series if I didn't have some information about that series. So
the great thing about this community, dude, is how, at least here, and how it doesn't matter how much or how little. It's always nerdy to like talk about who. It's always great when one of us like knows the actual thing. Like some of us are like really deep into it and they'll like be able to point stuff out. But no one will ever hold it against you. It's about the
No.
ethos. It's about like the very thing that you're discussing, which is that joy that people get when they watch, where it's this like idealism that sort of lifts up all of us. My cousin Mo would often say, we have a whole show. There's a whole sub show called Opposite Tracks. My cousin believes that the Federation is a fascist entity and is terrible for the universe, and I
Interesting.
constantly defend the universe. And so we are at loggerheads for like how we both interpret. Like I think it's a socialist paradise. You think it's like, you know, a terrible. So it's interesting that way, depending on how you see the Star Trek universe. But at the end of the day, it's never been more relevant to have hope, and we've never been closer to the same technology that you find in those things. And then there's ethics that go along with that technology. So even now, we're talking in the news about how AI is like is disrupting the way that the world works. Our technology is moving through leaps and bounds. We're not even questioning it.
Right.
There must have been something similar that happened through that time. There's this weird time. You're maybe edging up around it, and we'll talk about it now. When we get to this World War III like eugenics thing, which because of canon now is like a little later and stuff. Between that time and the time of first contact, okay, that is now. That is this like super special time when people sort of coalesced. They were really afraid, and in DS9, which Will hasn't given you any of, there's a great episode where they time travel back to 2024 in the middle of San Francisco, no, in LA. LA. Okay, it's very famous. And they go back and they talk about these sanctuary cities. This episode was made in 1993.
Yeah.
Okay, it's never been more relevant. And people were like, oh my God, it's 2024 and there are sanctuary cities. And the president is like this, and people have given up. It was just like that episode.
Yeah.
So it is art mirroring life, mirroring art, and as you said, you're kind of like a lefty, or that you're into these different ideals and stuff like that. All of those themes can be found within Star Trek. I really see what Will is trying to do, is trying to give you plot so that you
Right.
understand. I can feel like he wants you to know the major events in the Star Trek universe. But the best parts of Star Trek are the boring bottle episodes
Yeah.
that like where this carpet on the floor, dude, in TNG. It is a soft pastel, high-minded, philosophical like pressure cooker, where, as Picard says, it's the law is a crucible in which you burn away irrelevancies. We are what's left. It's the truth. And those types of, Picard was a Shakespearean actor, and all of those behind the scenes things, like they brought this gravitas that had never been. They're taking it so seriously when, crazily enough, in the 90s and the 80s, people laughed at Star Trek. People who like Star Trek, it was made to be made fun of, and yet this show was serious and like Shakespearean. It had a. Anyway, that's just my impression for you. What do you think so far?
Exactly that. I think that I am really, on the face of it, I really enjoy the acting and the characters and everything, but like knowing that it's speaking to much deeper themes is is going to be the thing that really pulls me further into the world.
Absolutely, because it's like it does pull you in. Like it's just and I do apologize for giving your 15 bullet point curriculum, and it really was 15 many. Like, but to Manny's point, he's absolutely correct. It's like those boring, almost in between. It seems like they just threw in this characterization plot point versus the Starfleet plot point that's just there when really you remember, for example, why does Riker have trouble passing up one ship after another, after another, after another? Why can't Picard ever stay in a relationship? Like, how come Worf is such a shitty father? like,
Those are really good questions.
yeah, it really and over it takes multiple shows to answer them.
Yeah.
but but for them to be even asked, for them to take the time to explore it, why did why did, I believe she was ensign at the time, Ro, leave the Enterprise? Like, what was her reasoning, right, for leaving the ship? Now, I'm speaking out of a lot of stuff, but it's just random questions. How come, in the beginning, Benjamin Sisko of D Space Nine, our first black male captain that we've seen in the lead show role on Star Trek, have a personal vendetta or grudge? Honestly, grudge is a better word, against Picard. How many people have a grudge against Picard now that you know the events of the Best of Both Worlds?
He knows Wolf 359.
He does.
I
Do you?
haven't made it there now.
That's fair. Okay, but it asks those questions.
Good catch,
It
Manny.
asks, yeah. It's just like it's all good.
I mean, just
But
to give you the broad strokes. Oh, he doesn't know. No,
he doesn't know. It looks like he
he doesn't
doesn't
know
know.
about.
No,
You
which
didn't give him that
ones
episode?
I did. Which
Okay.
which
I haven't made
which
it all the way through the curriculum.
Did you see any Borg?
Only in my background research. I haven't seen it
I
on.
haven't seen it, but okay, no.
That's fair.
No.
That's fair. That's
We'll
fair.
talk
That's fair.
about it
That's
because you
fair.
have to
That's
experience
fair.
the Borg.
Yeah. That's something you have to experience. Like that's a we don't want to spoil it. Like because
Yeah.
it's definitely. What would you say, Manny? Is and then we'll jump right into the recap. What would you say to you would be the was Gene Roddenberry around when Q Who was there?
What episode is that?
Season
He
2.
died. Oh
He
yeah.
died in season 3. Yeah, so he was
Yeah.
there. So, what would you say your personal interpretation of the Borg would be?
Me? I mean, I know the reason they wrote it in because they wanted an
Because,
implacable enemy, right? Like
well,
they
yeah,
wanted,
unapplaudable. Yeah.
they
To me,
wanted some
I thought they wanted to
relentless enemy.
show. You're right. I think for my social interpretation, I was thinking that they represent humanity's addiction to technology.
Sure. I just recently
But
found out that Borg is short for cyborg, so what do I know?
yeah, I was watching the Alien Earth show last night, and they have cyborgs on there, and then it just occurred to me. I was like, oh, well, Borg, cyborg, okay.
I think at that time, for sure, to your point, it's the 80s. You know, Johnny Five and all those little robot things, like robots were becoming a little bit more of it. And the cybernetics of the Borg. The first time you see a Borg and you're a kid,
Oof.
and it's 1988, and
It's
that
terrifying.
episode particularly, right? When we got to a Borg episode, okay, right, we were kids when it came out. We're watching this like week to week, and remember, there's commercials between this stuff. You can't fast forward. This isn't. It's on, and then if you didn't watch it, you had to wait. Like it was a different time. So the lore of it was slower. There was no internet, and so people were genuinely freaked out because also the things on television were milder. There wasn't a lot that was allowed. You couldn't curse the same way that you could now. There wasn't a lot of violence. Even if there was a violent movie, they put it at night. The warning system didn't exist yet. The same warning system, it was there, but it didn't have mature audiences. But none of that. So, and they didn't cut or whatever. So you saw stuff, and the Borg was terrifying, and I can't explain to you why because you haven't seen them. If you watch the first scenes of the way the Borg ignored the crew and just did their thing, and the way they looked with that at a time when you didn't see stuff like that on television, again, it's in the ecology of like boring, like the TGIF, man. We watch Full House and Perfect Strangers and Family Matters and stuff like that. It wasn't a time you'd see monsters on television the same way. So just to give you that aura, to have that there, and suddenly the music pitched, and suddenly you had this like, it was scary. It was super scary,
I
especially since it
imagine.
was technology. Yeah,
Yeah. I know that First Contact delves deeper into the Borg, but where are they first introduced?
that episode that he's discussing, with the things that are both subtle and gross, and you get to know Guinan and Ten Forward, and all of that stuff smashes together in that episode because he does something. I can't ruin this.
Yeah.
So I can't because you have to when you watch that episode.
Gotta experience it.
I don't want to ruin that for you because
I appreciate that.
It's special actually to see
Yeah.
that episode for the first time and to be like, whoa, because hey, listen, man, I skip the first season sometimes in TNG. I don't watch it. Like, I cut to the quick because they were still setting stuff up. They're not, I'm being realistic. I'm talking about Machete cut the whole first season, man. I jumped right to season 2. That's when they actually hit their stride. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they introduced in first season and then they expound on it. But specifically that episode, do you know who Q is?
Not off top.
That's okay. Let me just
okay.
say that Q is a alien entity that has powers. I'm not gonna explain anything about it. And suddenly the whole episode shifts. Where like they're on like a regular thing or whatever, and then suddenly an alien shows up, and imagine this alien doesn't just like change the script. And that is when all these adventures kind of change. You have a different way of the episode moving. And those high-minded speeches matter. When you have an alien who can just snap his fingers and do whatever he wants. So suddenly it matters what Picard's like. The gravity of their words matter more because they're arguing with an omniscient, omnipotent being.
Yeah.
There's no arguing with that because
right.
you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It's like a god with a lowercase g,
Yeah.
not uppercase g. We would say it in philosophy, right? Like so, it's in the pantheon of gods or whatever. So it's super to me. Q also super anxiety producing, by the way, because before you watch the episode and you know that anything can happen, I'm on the edge of your seat, like wondering, like, what they're gonna do next.
Yeah.
That's the terrifying part of Q.
He's like very childish at this stage, like for Q's lore. And now the reason why is not just because and I understand going over the Spark notes and the necessary notes to get to where we are now, and that's completely fine. Strange New Worlds, let's get to that. Let's segue. Does a fantastic job at referencing TOS and TNG. Like, it is a spinoff of Discovery and it honors Enterprise. But it really does a fantastic job at, even though TOS happens about five years from that point, but at this from where we are now. But they do a very good job at referencing the original series and the Next Generation. They've addressed the holodeck. Like that is a direct tie-in to the first episode of TNG, Encounter at Farpoint, because they go over Riker finds data where in the holodeck. So and I think from Picard's log or Riker's log, one of them, it was their first time using a holodeck, and now we know why. So if you've seen, which I take it you've watched episodes 1 through 6 for season 3. Okay, good.
I've seen that pilot of the Next Generation as well. So finally something I have seen.
direct tie-in. So it's just like, oh, so now we know why there are no holodecks anywhere in throughout TOS, the movies, or the Excelsior and Ambassador phases. So
I do have a question, real
please.
quick, about some timeline stuff. So the war that they continually reference in Strange New Worlds is that the Federation Klingon War that they keep bringing up? Okay, I just want to make sure where we were timeline wise.
We are at it's a very good question. I think it's been like 2 years since the end of the Klingon War.
I don't know.
Maybe 3.
Remember when we watched is it Star Trek? I remember that like fan made version with the ship. Axanar. They get into that
Axanar
really intensely, yeah.
They should have never canceled that, but that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, that's there was that's the war that they reference.
So he's seen the pilot episode of TNG?
Mm-hmm.
So he knows about Q.
I might have just missed it.
No, you would not have missed it. The first scene, I mean, past the stuff that he was talking about, right? They catch them in this big.
Oh, is that Q that comes up on board? Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
I just remember being distracted because I really like that actor. So I was like,
John
Delancey,
Delancey.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's really, really selling it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't
good,
pick up
right?
on. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so
absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Very foreboding too. And a weird charisma as well. Like that almost was unsettling.
That's cute. That's cute.
That's a
Yeah.
great description. Great.
Yeah. It's a very unsettling charisma.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
it makes
how
you
I
a little
feel.
uneasy, like under your skin kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to him for being able to exude that.
Actually, really quick, I just watched an interview by Jean Delancey a few days ago. No, this interview had to have been years ago. But apparently, for how he got casted as Q, one of the producers for the Next Generation, I forgot which one it was. It wasn't Gene Roddenberry at the time. It was somebody else. Saw Jean Delancey on perform, and as he was dying of cancer, he thought he was going to die, but he watched Jean Delancey on TV or something like that, whatever, and he laughed so hard that his immune system kicked in and saved his life. And he said, from that, I laughed because I was watching John Delancey, and I promised him whenever I would get to see him, I would give him a role. This said producer, I don't know who it was, landed on Star Trek, The Next Generation, and they specifically asked John Delancey the first time to fill the role of Q. John Delancey thought this was some joke, and he actually turned it down and said, "I ain't got time for Star Trek," because, like you said, Mandy, it was supposed to be like this running joke, like in the '80s. No, no. And his agent called him and said, "Get your ass over there." And he's like, "What?" And then he became Q
Wow.
because he saved some guy's life through his comedy.
That's awesome.
So it's like little backstory tidbits like that. But we're gonna jump right into it, guys. It's a very simple storyline. It's a very simple storyline. And I like how, as simple as it is, it gives us more. Like it gives us so much more. Like, who wants to do, Jacob? Do you feel comfortable doing a subtle recap in your own words? Like I have pictures.
Yeah.
And
The only thing I messaged you about this before the show. The only thing that I missed was who the enemy ship is in this episode.
that I think that's the sad part of it. Apparently they were
Oh,
humans.
that is okay. I didn't know if that was the ship they showed at the end was the same
I'm
ship that the big black like scary ship that we enter later in the
yeah.
episode.
Yeah. We've seen examples of that in TOS and Enterprise where early human I'm not going to say colonizers, that's not a right word, but those who have
Okay.
left Earth in the 20th and 19th, no, in the 20th and 21st centuries before first contact, they
They're calling me.
traveled. They're colonists. Okay, they went out and they became whatever their social group evolved to, and I think that was the point. I think the ending of what these people, the reveal of what these people were, to me was a little rushed, but we'll get to the review of that in the end. So, but yes, to answer, I'm sorry, Manny, please.
I haven't seen it. I'm on the last like couple of minutes. I haven't seen. I'm fine with it. I just want you
Okay,
to know.
okay,
I'm cool.
okay,
It's cool.
okay, cool.
My best attempt at a recap is I'll struggle a little bit because I haven't memorized all of the characters' names yet.
It is
Dude.
completely cool.
But what I thought was interesting was seems like the A plot is kind of is Pike breaking off with a couple of the crew members going in trying to like rid the ship of these aliens and figure out the source of their trouble there. And then the other plot is Kirk's kind of ascension a little bit. Like I felt like there was a really cool a couple really cool scenes, like particularly between Spock and Kirk, and then later in the episode, Manny, I don't know if you made it to this part, but the scene between Pike and Kirk was really cool. I mean, just knowing as little about the show as I do, like these are the people that I know from the totality of the series, and so it was cool seeing them interact in that way. So I thought it was a really great episode for me to talk about tonight because it was, was focused more heavily on characters that I'm familiar with.
Nice.
And,
Those are good pictures.
and yeah, and what's crazy is the plot really is that simple for this episode.
Yeah.
Like it's really not complex. And I think the reason they wrote it that way is because they wanted the first well, it's not the very first interaction, but it's the first group interaction in Strange New Worlds that we get to see of the original cast of the original of the original series. So you have they let the characters speak. Yes, Manny. Oh my gosh.
The moment of him sitting down in the captain's chair too was really great.
Right.
Also, my wife wanted to make sure that I mentioned that the guy who plays Captain Kirk in this show is from Vampire Diaries. So
I figured she would know.
So I had to drop that little tidbit
Paul
of
Wesley.
information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Paul
He's
Wesley.
great.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Like he's a great choice. Has a nice standard modern Kirk look, and I appreciated how on the first officer's log, because the last time we saw Kirk in the previous season, he was a lieutenant. But now he's a commander first officer. But
because I've seen so little of the original series, how do you guys feel he does as Captain Kirk? Because my knowledge of like the Chris Pine portrayal,
that's fair.
He does a really very similar job as that, but I don't know how he weighs.
Have you seen the 2009 Star Trek, the reboot?
Yeah. I've seen all of the Star Trek, the J.J. Abrams movies. I guess they're not all directed by. Yeah. Actually, one of my
Kelvin.
Yeah. One of my questions was, am I allowed to be a fan of Star Trek even if I admit I liked the second and third movies in the Abrams trilogy?
Of course.
See you, Jacob.
Oh, okay. Boot me for that. Well, what I was really thrown off by was that Alex Kurtzman is the creator of this show, and he co-wrote 2009 Star Trek. So that was interesting to me, because I didn't feel like there would be any footprint left of that trilogy.
Yeah. To answer your question, sorry for booting you out. To answer your question, yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing. Personally, am I a fan of the J.J. Abrams films? I actually, that's a whole nother topic. I am, but from a different perspective, very different perspective than I can't wait for you to meet Marie one day. But Marie and I debate heavily on Into Darkness. She hates Into Darkness. I love it. Like it's just a whole thing. But the J.J. Abrams films, and I think Justin Lin directed the third one, did what it was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It was to cinematically pull in new Star Trek fans, millennials, and what back then the beginning of Gen Z, because back then they were still preteens, or still being born even. But it did what it was supposed to do, was cast this wide net and use Chris Pine as Kirk, Zoe Saldana as Uhura, Zachary Quinto as Spock, Anton Yelkin before he passed away as Chekhov. Like all these Sean, what's his name, as Scotty. Like you got all these. Now you got an A-list cast. Yeah, thank you. Now you have an A-list cast from the jump. Whereas from the original series and the Next Generation, not quite so much. They most of them came from the stage.
I'm not a big J.J. Abrams fan, but also having a big director like that attached to, I mean, it's certainly at least laid a foundation for me to, be intrigued now in life. Like I said, when I reflect on this, I really like Into Darkness. I really like I think wasn't it the third one, Star Trek
Beyond.
Yeah, that one, I really liked the tone of that. I feel like that actually matches up a little bit more with the actual series, whereas Star Trek 09 and Into Darkness are both kind of, more J.J. Abrams movies that have Star Trek involved. But yeah, so that's just why because like from my brother, who's my conduit to Star Trek, he is not a fan of J.J. Abrams at all, and is not a fan of that trilogy. So I was surprised when I saw the Alex Kurtzman attachment. And I feel like I've heard also he's kind of runs it for Paramount, like runs the Star Trek universe from a production standpoint.
Yeah,
That's a really good observation, dude, about the Beyond thing, because that is actually the intent of that movie, was that it was supposed to bring it back. That was the right, Will? Am I
yes. I mean, admittedly, I've only ever made it to I've only ever seen the iconic episodes and the first season of the original series. But if I were to deduce, I would agree that Beyond was closer to the original series than the first two. Into Darkness was more like, fight me on this, was more like the action scenes in the TNG films. Like, it's just action, 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 action. You know, fight, 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 fight. Like I see that fight scene between Kirk and not Kirk, Spock and Khan. All I could think about was the fight scene between Kirk and Soren in Generations. Like, it's just like, okay. To give you a timeline frame of reference, from let's just talk about Generations, because we're not well. The first contact happens 2 years after Generations. Add another 10 years to that, and you just reach the events of the first Star Trek movie that you have seen.
Okay.
Because 10 years, about 5 to 10 years from that point, a supernova happens over Romulus. Spock tries to stop it. He couldn't. Well, he did, but not before Romulus was destroyed. And he got flown back in time and created what we call now the Kelvin universe.
I'm not taking it for granted at all either that, like, because this is a really fun part of becoming a fan of something, is the world building and the putting the puzzle pieces together, and then you can really kind of embrace the content. So I'm really enjoying you guys' takes on it. The enthusiasm actually absolutely makes me like more excited to get further into it.
Yeah, cool. So to get into details of really quick, even though it's quite clear that we are very excited that we get to see. It's weird. I was telling my friend Nick, he was here watching if a Sehlat could catch its tail, could eat its tail.
Great episode title.
Oh yeah, like I was thinking, like, oh my gosh. I feel like I'm seeing a reunion. I feel like I'm seeing a cameo, but technically we're not. Like, we're not. But it feels that way because we are seeing the original crew come together for the first time, with the exception of Chekhov and Sulu. Right? Yes. I think those are the only two.
Bones.
And Bones. I think aren't Bones and Kirk best friends?
They said on purpose. I think there was a recent thing that said they may have been, but I think he's off somewhere. That they purposely didn't introduce these characters all at once, so that
because we got 2 more seasons to go. We got to spread it out. Like, we have to make it work.
Is there an established?
Okay, they might not even introduce Bones.
Yeah, they may not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to the fact that that sick bay was also the bar on the ship. I thought that was so cool. Like, who gets drunk in sick bay? Anyway, but yes, so this scavenger ship is basically this giant animal-looking structure that looked like it ate the Enterprise. It just literally chomp, chomp, chomp. Like, not to mention, now, of course, we know what Manny, you and I know what Pike's fate is going to be. So we know that he has to live. Like, but seeing the Enterprise being eaten, I was like, hey, Kirk is supposed to take that ship. Leave it alone. And so, and then it was just being absorbed by tentacles. And then so I guess it depends on how you look at A plot and B plot. But let's call A plot Kirk trying to rescue the Enterprise, and B plot, because he really gave a B plot bill, B plot, the Enterprise doing their best to escape from their perspective.
Yeah,
Like,
I couldn't differentiate really because the Kirk stuff seemed like the priority in the episode, whereas the Pike plot point seemed a little bit secondary, even though he's more of the forefront of the series.
right,
Which was
and
cool. I thought that was really
yeah,
cool to bring those
yeah,
characters to the forefront.
right. If we're one thing about this show that we also love to do collectively uh, is how can we apply the ethics, the protocols, and the social structures of Star Trek and to our real life today, and where have we seen that in other episodes? And Manny, I want to tell you that I was actually very glad that even though Kirk is definitely fly by the seat of his pants, which we know him, that's who he is. But I'm very glad that he answered to protocol as to who had the superior ship, just like when Ransom answered to Janeway during that episode in Voyager. Like, because it is now. Let me ask you really quick: was there a similar protocol when you were serving? Like when something like that would happen, in any instance, it could be a ship, it could be a down platoon. I don't know. Like, yeah.
I mean, thank you for that question. As I was watching this episode, being a second in command, so for most of my career, I was second in command of where I was. It was only in the end when I actually like caught my tail, let's say. And now I'm a principal of a school, and for a long time, I also watched other people run this thing and lean back like an armchair philosopher, going, "I can do that better." In my own head, right? There's the ego that comes into that point.
As we all do.
The moment that you get it, and if you haven't built up the relationships for the advisory part, like we all take for granted when Picard walks into his ready room, that he can pick up, on all of these people's thoughts super quickly, ask them for the things, and then dismiss them. And that's kind of what we got used to. It requires so much social engineering and finesse and tact to get the most out of these people who are geniuses. Brilliant people sometimes have quite difficult personalities to rein in. The military structure allows them to have a protocol, but this is in the future where the discipline is very different than an actual like army. They're disciplined in the sense that they're an army of one, actually. Like, let's say at that moment, Kirk could have been like, "This is too much. I give up." But the moment required him to like rise up, and I know that feeling of having to suddenly take over for your boss. I think maybe we've all felt that before, or lean back or watch someone in power. I was really great as a number two. Really great, because I was really great at prepping the person in charge and allowing them to take the responsibility and the accountability. And it was always easier for me to build those relationships for them and then to watch them enact the things that they've asked me to. It's like Riker, right? Like Riker's in charge. Or like Una, you go out and they answer to you, and then it's distilled so that when you talk to your captain privately, it's a distillation of the maturity. You always have the ability to take over the ship, but truthfully, there's a reason why the captain sits in that chair. And I'm telling you, as having someone who's I've actually sat in that chair, and I never understood this about Picard or Kirk is sitting in the chair being the actual like big thing, whatever. It's performative. It's dramatic. The actual command part, like when Kirk looked down at the panel and didn't immediately recognize or do anything, I knew immediately he was in trouble. When Picard looked down, he was also a pilot, and Enterprise Archer was a pilot. It comes right back, when Pike was like, doing his thing.
Manny.
Oh no, he did freeze. He did freeze.
Come back to us.
No, he froze. He froze. Oh, he's back. He's back. He's back. He's back. Okay.
Anyway, I don't mean to go on. I just mean like
It's very passionate. That's why I wanted to ask you though, like, because
If
it was
you,
like, yeah.
yeah, it's made to be dramatic. The actual act of being a second in command means that you're occasionally taking over. Like he was saying, yeah, I think you should do it like this or whatever. This should be the conversation he has in the ready room. I don't think he should have been saying that in front of like the other staff or whatever, especially not the way that he did it, folding his hands and leaning back. You just got command, as you just said, right? Like lieutenant to command. Hello, there's a whole training on how you're supposed to act around staff when you reach a new command level. So that part is made for TV. The actual command part, there's a stoicism, there's a detachment that you're supposed to have in that moment, and a mechanicalness to how they respond to the controls. You are actually controlling the ship. You know what I'm saying? As if you're like, do this, do this, do this. They stylize it, but yeah, like if you were asked to take over that ship, the relationships that you have with each of those people matters more. And a good officer can do any one of their jobs better than they can. This is something they write where they actually have like Archer being a good pilot or like a really good like overqualified, like when the captain is overqualified for certain parts like engineering or whatever, they should be.
Yeah.
They should be able to track what the chief engineer is doing exactly. None of this magic piffle, whatever nonsense, whatever. You should be able to call it in real time. The same thing on a real submarine. So a submarine is the best way that I can compare a ship. When you're in that many close waters and you're like depending on the people around you, y'all are intimate. There is, you know each other, but there's a forced detachment. You know what everyone's job is supposed to be, and everyone's watching out for everyone else, but the captain is controlling it as if he has like levers, but with people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely, and it
Sorry.
also makes for better leaders as well. I mean, like those relationships that you're speaking to, that's like how are people supposed to follow your command, especially in life or death situations, if they don't like, trust you as a person? And so building those relationships is very important. I thought something that really impacted me from the episode tonight was when Pike and Kirk were talking at the end and discussing the way that Kirk was emotional, like over the deaths of these people from Earth. That that spoke to me because it was like just displaying his empathy, and Pike spoke to that as well. That was what makes him like somebody that can be a captain is that empathy, what he's feeling in that moment. And I thought that was that was really great because I think empathy is kind of the foundation for if we are ever going to make it to any kind of utopian society, like empathy is going to be the foundation of that.
I like this guy.
Right. Is it me trying to like contain myself, William?
He already gets it.
Steady. Right? He gets it. So now, I wanted to ask you this question. Then the rest of the recap is stupid simple. Jacob. So, like as I mentioned earlier, we take our knowledge from our life, our professions, and even our social circles, and we apply it to Trek, or use Trek to apply to us, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. So, knowing that you are going to go into the HR field, how do you feel so far? Not necessarily at the end, but because you've given us your thoughts on that, thank you. Um, but in that moment when Kirk walked out on the crew to go play chess with his thoughts.
I would say I wouldn't relate it more to the profession that I'm going into. I'd relate it more to honestly like my time now as a student. I think that you know uh, sometimes, or actually, my previous profession, I was a restaurant manager before I decided to go back to school, and I in that role, I think a lot of times, going back to the leadership point, I think sometimes like stepping away and decompressing for a second is the play because if you are to lash out or act out of your personality in a moment of frustration, then that is going to damage those relationships that you have worked so hard to build. And so I think it's a way of preserving those relationships and also just being a better leader. The face you put on in moments of distress, I think is incredibly important for the morale of those around you. And I think that's kind of where Kirk was in a moment of real palpable frustration and a feeling of that he wasn't going to be able to do what he needed to do in that moment. I think that detaching for a second is sometimes called for.
I like this guy.
So you've been a restaurant manager, yeah?
Hmm? Yeah,
so you were a leader.
For like 7 or 8 years, restaurant manager.
And there's a singular voice, right? Like in the kitchen, like there's a chef and a sous chef, whatever. There's a difference between a cook and a chef. And a chef is because he makes his dishes and he calls it his way, and there's a sort of respect and almost like a military-esque way of doing stuff, right?
Yeah, just with lower stakes. But yeah, I something that I will definitely apply in my future profession that I took from that was that notion of you're the compass of morale in that environment. So, and every day, and William, you know this, things are going to go wrong constantly in a restaurant. Yes. People get very, very frustrated. So being a beacon of peace or a beacon of like calm and civility and empathy is just so important to, and that's to get through an hour, to get through a shift, to get through a week. These are tough jobs. Like these are jobs that people don't necessarily want to do. So being an uplifting force is imperative.
You know what I'm wondering, Manny? Given that he has 7 to 8 years as the restaurant manager in his past career, I'm really wondering when he gets into Deep Space Nine how he'll react to Quarks. Like, oh man, or Cisco's. Because there are restaurants, not just one-offs, like consistent restaurants in Star Trek.
The idea of restauranting in the Star Trek universe, which is, I think, a lot of people debate, like, why is there even restaurants? Why do they exist? Why are they run the way that they're run in that economy? Those will all be really good questions for you in that sense. What was I going to say? Sorry, I'll throw it back to you, Will. I had a question, but I forgot.
So to basically, not necessarily wrapping up quite yet, but to wrap up the recap, basically, Kirk comes out. He's back from his come to Jesus meeting with Spock, and comes up with the idea to detach the nacelles to disable the scavenger ship. Okay, which fucking brilliant. Like, can we talk about that? It's just also shout out to Manny real quick for a fantastic game show the other Friday because and I'm gonna tell you why and how this ties in. So Kirk is the first officer on the Farragut. The Farragut is it's not Nebula class, but it becomes Nebula class 100 years from that point. And so it has the same structure, like the saucer section and then the things under it. So the fact that it's still called the Farragut, I thought that was really cool. Jacob, you actually get to see the Farragut one time at the end of Generations, after the Enterprise is destroyed, and it beams up Riker and Picard when it goes out and they go to war. That's the Farragut. So you'll notice throughout Trek history that even though they are different class ships, they genuinely keep the similar shapes. Well, not shapes, structures. Like saucer, wings. Like, right. It's just
the
very
nacelles have a certain orientation. Keith knows this stuff.
Yeah, nacelles. Right.
He'll know the nacelles the way that they're, because there's different orientations, but they have to be in line with the ship, and
yeah, they have to.
It becomes like crazy stuff. But I remember the question I was going to ask you.
Please.
You made a point about, Jake made a point about the leader stepping away and taking a minute. That's actually something that they taught us in command school. So in the military, it's the 1/3, 2/3 rule. Okay, let's say I have 24 hours for a mission. Okay, I give him my mission report, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In the military doctrine, the leader should have 8 hours of preparation, and 16 hours should be for the troops. So he should go, plan, figure out what he needs to do, and then come back. But it's cumulative. You can take 6 hours or 4 hours, whatever. But there could be interludes. You give them orders, you present them, and then you're supposed to be doing stuff. But there are times when you need to like pull away while you're managing certain tasks or having certain plates spin, so that you can reassess or catch your breath or see the whole picture. So to your point, Jacob, that is I mean, honestly, dude, you're savvy. You're picking up all of these smaller bits of this, which is a very interesting way of like processing this episode because of how simple it was, and then having someone like Jacob who's more nascent and like naive to the show, picking up these pieces in realism and applying it to like what he knows. So it's actually a really cool, interesting way to see it through that lens.
Ooh,
Yeah, I like
cool.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the end yet. I'm still 15 or
Well,
20 minutes away, so I don't seem like all that extra stuff or whatever. But good luck with your journey, dude. I would love to see you again, like on a different episode and help you through all that stuff. I do recommend you stick with TNG, man. TNG is going to be a template throughout the whole thing. If you can stick to one show, stick to TNG.
Yeah.
Second season on, okay? And we'll give you a machete cut of things to watch. Like if you just want to do a cursory thing so you can get through it, because TNG is the template for tech after TOS. They call it the actual TNG era, which kind of stopped in 2009 or after what was that last disaster movie?
2005, and it was Nemesis.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Nemesis.
You know what? That's a good opposite Trex, because I will go toe to toe with anyone and say Nemesis was not that bad. It was not.
Look, if somebody who's not in the community prior to now, like, has heard the disappointing reception of Nemesis, then it's probably not that great.
No, it's not. But because to me, okay,
he backed off of his stance so fast.
Look, cinematically, even though Generations will always be my favorite movie of all time, cinematically and written so well, there is no greater Star Trek film. Really, these are top two, but I'm doing this because I'm biased. First Contact and Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, that's the consensus I've heard.
Those are the top two, and really, we honor Wrath of Khan by because it came first. But really, to me, First Contact, because when I'm
very excited to watch it.
Oh my God, the introduction of the Sovereign class, the new uniforms, how it ties with Deep Space Nine, like it's just they time travel, they introduce new characters. It's like boom. So yeah.
I was going to say I have a couple of quick questions before you guys go.
Please.
So this one's a two-parter, and it is.
You wrote them down.
Yeah. So is the Cardassian War, is that between this show and TNG?
Which Cardassian War?
Much farther later. Oh,
because there were
more
two.
recent.
Okay.
The pre-TNG War.
Oh, the pre-TNG War. So those were strictly Cardassians. We're not talking about the Dominion War. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. And why did the Federation go to war with Kim K and the Kardashians?
That
was good.
That was
really good.
The most important question that I wrote down, though, is does anyone have Jonathan Frakes' contact information so I can apply to be his son?
You're funny.
He went to my profile. No, we're going to talk about this. And this is how I know he did, or at least at some point. Manny, you know this. My picture with Jonathan Frakes is tagged. It's pinned to the front. And I will read the caption. Jonathan Frakes, as William Riker, is actually really cool. Could he pass as my dad? Fun fact, my mom almost named me Jonathan.
I watched an interview with him today, and he's so charming. I was like, I love this guy, and he has so much gravitas in TNG. I drawn in every time he's on screen.
He's so good. Like, to Will's point about later, when you find out why he hasn't taken another command, and everyone's bugging him to take over, he's like, no. Like, he's so self-determined. And then there's a subplot with him and Troy, and they become like the Jerry and Elaine of like the ship. They were together, and then they weren't, and then they worked together and stuff. But
Yeah.
their previous relationship is also based on his ambition. So in the book Imzadi, right, like they leave because she couldn't match his ambition, which they talk about more with the
That's where Insurrection comes in.
What's the other Riker's name?
Thomas.
Thomas. So then he explores that with that, and he's like, I remember being you, and I remember like when I was like that anyway. But Jonathan Frakes as Will Riker in the show consistently is the best example of like leadership by proxy. Like someone who's just showing you what excellence is rather than telling you. Like it sets the stage for all the other second in command like officers who are really, really good. But to your point, he's so good. He's so good. And then later he gets like tongue in cheek, like in Picard and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
when he's on TNG, he's super serious. It's a great episode where I don't know who's. It's the one where Jean-Luc Picard is the blue shirt, and Q takes him back in time and shows him. He's like, "This is," and they sit down with him and they do his personnel report.
Tapestry.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's such an interesting jump. It's so good to see Riker like being officious and being like, "I don't think you're like material for this."
Wait till he gets to lower decks where he sees Riker in command of the Titan.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's so many good moments, but that's the point. Like in the second season, there's a whole episode called "Measure of the Man." I just posted on my Facebook about it.
Data.
The whole episode is a bottle episode, It's one of my favorite episodes and one of the best episodes in all of Star Trek. Data is Data. Have you met? You're familiar?
I know
with
of him. I can't remember if I've actually seen him in the show.
He's an android,
so
he's like built. He's
I don't want to say whiteface because that sounds weird, but he's the android.
So he's a computer. It's like a living computer, and someone tries to appropriate him within Starfleet, and being like your property, not a person. And the whole episode becomes the legal case of whether or not Data is, because he was built by people in the Federation, is he property or is he a conscious being? That's an example of an episode that is like, it's a courtroom drama, the whole episode. Yeah. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's waiting for you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, like I said, you guys have really piqued my interest. I really appreciate y'all having me.
We appreciate you. It's so nice and refreshing to be able to talk to someone about this stuff, like seriously. And to Will's point, we apply it, and it's never been more relevant. Like these ethics, the bioethics, the technological ethics, to William's point about the Borg and like our obsession with technology, and then not considering that technology. Like I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, but I know that sometimes we create things, and no one ever asks whether they should. They just do it. There's also a thread in TNG. I brought this up with William the other day of regression. So remember, this is the 24th century. There've been other shows and other things. We've come to a euphoria, utopia in TNG. TNG is the epitome of utopia in the Star Trek world. There are other rougher patches. So much so that people are so comfortable that a regression movement in many of the shows starts popping up, where people want to regress and get away from technology. There are whole episodes dedicated to this, where they're like intellectuals in the Federation who help rebel against Paradise, because the one thing you can't do is leave Paradise.
Yeah. So was that Q that was like holding the tribunal in the pilot of TNG? Okay. I just didn't catch the name. Yeah, very cool character.
And I really want to leave Jacob with this quote from Q. as he gets started on his journey. I'm going to do my best to recite it. Okay. Jacob, we wanted to see if you would expand your mind beyond your horizons. And for one brief moment, you did. For that one fraction of a second, you have opened to options that you had never considered. That is the exploration that awaits you, not mapping stars or studying nebula, but charting the unknown possibilities of existence.
Wow,
Great job.
that's cute.
That's Q. That was the whole point for Picard that he was trying to tell him the whole time.
If you get to the actual end of TNG,
Oh, it
like
hits.
the very last episode,
Oh, it
everything,
hits.
everything will kind of crystallize about that, about what he just said. That kind of comes into view. So, if you really are into this part of it, like TNG, Star Trek will just open up for you. Like you'll just
Just
find
open the
so much
doors.
joy in those spaces because, as you said, like in a way you're sort of reflecting into a utopia, and all of us were doing that the first time that we saw it. And there's, once you get past the like uniforms and the monsters of the week and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
the
left.
philosophy. The philosophy of the show is what is so captivating about it. For me, anyway. I can't speak for other people, but
I think that is the thread binds a lot of more serious Star Trek fans, like people who want to discuss it with. This is the first time I ever did this stuff, by the way. This show and all this stuff. I've never talked about Star Trek ever before anyone. It's just not something you did. And then you discover this, and here I am, like talking about this with you. And we're better for it.
absolutely.
Like I think society caught up to allowing Star Trek to be cool because, again, to William's point, our technology is more advanced. Like we are living in at least the version of the future I saw as a kid.
Yeah.
When I was young, I'm 43. There were no laptops. There was no internet. There was no Wi-Fi.
Right.
And now we just supposedly have a cure for diabetes. Oh,
Yeah.
look at that! Is that a
Yeah.
Razor flip phone, like a Motorola Razor?
Yes, I kept it.
I had that exact phone.
Yeah, I had a pink one.
Wow. I had the silver.
Yeah, it's just a black case. But like when it came out, I literally like
It was the coolest phone. I love that phone.
so to your point about technology. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay,
really is
boys.
reflective of where we are and hopefully where we're going. Yeah.
I like that. Jacob, I look forward to like many more conversations with you, man. I hope.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I really like your energy. I'm gonna really enjoy discussing this stuff further with you guys.
Inshallah. It gets pretty wild. You get some other people on here, but yeah, this is pretty sedate compared to like what Will is like when Marie is here. Other people.
Oh, it's just like
I'll just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah,
yeah,
enjoy.
and it's now it's like you will learn. You will find that you will have different social dynamics with each person in Trekkers Delight. It was just how it works. My relationship with Manny is a very emotionally intellectual one, like emotionally intellectually intelligent. I know that's repetitive, but it's whatever. Mine with Marie, it's just like I and I know that she has a significant amount of years on me, but I still view her as like my little sister for some reason. Like, and I want to protect her, and I scream and laugh with her, like, ah! Like all the stuff, And then there are others. I would say like Keith is like, how do I like? Well, because Manny is a very significant source of information. Well, I guess when it comes to like B canon and comics and extended lore, Keith is your guy.
Yeah, he's our librarian. He's our
He's our librarian.
Like,
he's our librarian.
Anthropologist.
What did you say her name was? Marie?
Marie.
Marie, I'm talking to you right now. Just know that I heard William sneak diss you just now, and I am not okay with it. I'm on your side. Just for any future discussion, I'm Team Marie.
You should be Team Marie because she's so short. She has room for one emotion at a time. Like, you know what? And I'm gonna send this clip to her, and she's gonna call me And she's gonna be like, "Listen here, you little shit."
As she
First
should.
episode. I love it. He's already.
Oh
I love it,
yeah.
man. Well done.
Yes. So, guys, and to whenever, because I really wanted to get this as much as we can together. I want to say for our audience, Trekkers Delight is in the middle of a transition period, and we are integrating more games. Shout out to Manny, because he created like the TNG movies games. Super dope. I could not stop screaming. Okay, like could not stop screaming. Don't know when yet. The Voyager is coming up next. And so we are definitely getting everything together. Manny, I hope and pray that you have a safe trip back home, because if I'm not mistaken, you leave this week.
Leave Saturday.
Leave Saturday.
morning. Yeah.
Jacob, even though Manny is from Canada, he currently resides in Dubai.
Wow.
Yeah.
So right now he's in our time zone right now. So he's going to be back on the other side of the world. We are actually going to be joined later on another Trekkers Delight episode. Something I wanted to save as a surprise for Manny. That not only will we have like more coming into the Trekkers Delight fold on top of Jacob. That did not sound right. I'm sorry. But we also have another international person who's going to be coming to join us from Australia. So,
Cool.
Yes, They got the official yes for it. So it's just a matter of time. So it's going to be very interesting. We are going to be the only Star Trek show that has whole international cast, which is what the original Star Trek is always been about. You got Japanese person here, Russian person here, technically African person there, like woo 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 woo. Okay, that's what Star Trek is. We are Star Trek. Like that is not. It's not just pew 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 in space. No, it's more than that. It's the exploration. While they are exploring space, they are helping us explore our humanity. So,
infinite diversity in infinite combinations.
Infinite combinations. That's right. All right. Love you guys so much. Any final words, Jacob? Okay. All right. Great. Live long and prosper, guys. Let's see if you can do it, man. Can you do it? Oh my God! Yes! Peace.
Wait, Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you being right now? I gotta know.
I'm serious, dude. You got
like 10 out of 10 serious, or picking on Michael serious? Which one?
There is no temperature in space. It's not cold.
What are you serious?
Okay, wait.
Who is? Oh dear God! It just got better.
Because you said his name. Welcome to the party, Michael.
No, that is not how we're going to end the episode, because Keith actually has like a legitimate news update. He knows shit, and we should possibly like convey that knowledge.
That's my favorite line. He knows shit.
It's just like a black and red mound. It's like.
Why are you describing yourself?
What the hell?
Hello from man.
Hey, Virgil.
Hey,
Virgil.
welcome.
Hello, Virgil. Welcome. Who are you?
Who?